My name is Marleen. I teach in NUS Business School in Singapore, as you can see behind me. And my topic there is family business. I've been teaching that in the MBA for a couple of years, and it's really well evaluated. So I'm really enthusiastic about our students and the course. People might find it strange why I take family business, but if you work here in Asia, anywhere in Asia, you'll find family businesses all around you. So in general, in the world, most of the firms are family firms. But if you look at the US and the UK, typically it's mostly the smaller firms. But here in Asia, it's not just the smaller firms. Also, the vast majority of the larger firms are family firms. In other words, if it's not government owned, it's probably family owned, a very high chance. So we're covering that very large chunk of very dynamic companies in the region. So if you look at, let's say, Thailand, also Singapore, Indonesia, you look at a stock exchange, you'll typically find about 60% of the companies listed there is family firms. So it's a hugely important topic here in Asia, and it certainly deserves a course. Well, what I'm trying to do in this course is, of course, to give my students an idea of the patterns that happen in family firms and how the context matters in terms of how those patterns play out. So I'm going to try to get them through case studies and examples to explore these patterns. So just to give you a feel, one of the issues is that, small family firms are very simple, where you have just a founder and maybe some other family member. But once you go into the third generation, you have so many family members, different generations, perhaps the business might also be very big by then. It becomes very complex to keep everything together. And that's where governance of family firms becomes very important. And you also might see some feuds in business families, and that's one of the bigger risks of family firms, that they should try to avoid it. So we look at some of these patterns in our class. And another thing that is also interesting is we don't just look at it from the perspective of the family. We also look at this from the perspective of the investor. I just told you that, the majority of the stock exchange listed firms here are family firms. So when you do invest in these firms, what makes these families perform better, and under what conditions might they be doing stuff that is not necessarily in the interests of you as a minority shareholder. So students will gradually pick up a lot of relevant patterns that are really, really useful for when they do business in Asia. My course focuses mostly on Asian family businesses. So in our course, we go to different countries even to explore the different contexts of family firms. I don't quite focus on family firms from other regions, but I do borrow a little bit from some of the European family firms when it comes to, how does it look when we're in the fourth or fifth generation and there are, maybe hundreds of shareholders. And that kind of situation is still quite uncommon in East Asia. So it's good for that kind of topic to look outside and learn from those countries where family firms are a little bit older typically. Yeah. By the way, Japanese family firms are also one of the oldest in the world, but they have a very unique succession model that is not necessarily applicable to all other Asian families. Yeah. I already said that it's quite easy to run a small firm with just a few people, but when families and firms become complex, research shows typically that there are some techniques that you can use to govern these family firms and ensure that they last for generations. One example of this is family constitutions. So these are kind of rules that family members set in terms of how they relate to the business, how they behave with regard to or inside the business. For instance, how can you transfer the shares to other people? What happens if somebody passes away? Those kind of rules. And we know that if you have thought about those scenarios and have rules for them, it is more likely that you will go through these events without fighting over it. So that's just one technique to make your business sustainable. Of course, there are many other items we discuss in our class, but governance is definitely a very important one. So it's actually relevant for all these cases. And I have many students who don't work in family firms. Let's say they're an entrepreneur, or they start up a firm, or they work in a multinational, and they come out of my course saying, wow, I had never seen this, and now I realize how relevant it is. Let's say you do procurement at a multinational company, you'll be buying from family firms. If you're an entrepreneur, your financing will come from families perhaps, or your clients could be families. If you're a banker, for sure, consultant. So, most all kinds of careers that you have, especially here in Asia, will bring you in touch with these business families, and knowing how they operate and how to approach them is hugely helpful for all types of students. Yeah. So thank you for saying that. Why is my course so popular? I think I've been quite innovative in the way that I teach. It's very interactive. I do a lot of storytelling, and there are also innovative elements, like I've even invented a street game in Singapore that gets students super, super excited. So overall, they come out of this course, thinking that this was fun learning. They don't see it as a chore going through the content, but they really enjoy the experience, and that's my purpose too. Actually, students are competing in teams, and they're being sent to different parts of downtown Singapore, and they have to report at different buildings, and then they get a video from me. It's kind of like a TikTok lecture with the story of the family behind that building, and then ending with a riddle. So they have to madly consult Dr. Google on their phones, trying to find the answer. And when they got the right answer, they go to the next venue. Of course, it gets them hugely excited to go through these questions, but they learn quite a lot along the way. And when they finish, they're like, wow, I will never see Singapore in the same way. Now I realize the real impact of these business families, not just on our skyline, but on our economy as well. Yeah, so it's very exciting game. Yeah. What I want to do for them is to give them a new set of glasses to look at the region and business in the region. And they even tell me, once I see it, I cannot unsee it. This is amazing. You've given me a new perspective. So that's one thing. And the second thing is, I always feel that learning should be seriously fun. So they should also have fun learning in this course. So those are the two things. Singapore is really a thriving place for family businesses at the moment. Singapore is attracting a very large number of family offices from around the world. And what we do in this class is we bring that community into the classroom, and we also go out to the community. So it's almost like the boundaries between in the class and in the community are gone. So I have many guest speakers who are owners of family firms, who are next generations of family firms. Even some of my old students who are also from business families might come back later and give a talk in my class. And that makes the environment of learning even more vibrant than just sitting there and studying a case. So I think those kind of things are what makes learning in a business school really cool. I think NUS offers a very top-class environment with a very thriving business scene around us. So I do think that this course fits very well in our overall package of what we offer to our MBA students.